Afternoon, Bradley Dyke here with a discussion about foreign policy and national security. This will be a series of a few short PowerPoint presentations augmented by my audio that will help you to understand better some of the things that you'll find in your lecture notes. Our topic today is United States foreign policy and national security. Our task here is to look at the United States and its role in a global environment these days. We know about the process of globalization. We know that the United States, although it remains a salient power, is also in some respects just another power among other possible competitors. What we want to do particularly in this segment is to look at the history of this going back really to the mid-19th century and talk about the long-term goals of United States foreign policy. I have them all listed here for you. Let's kind of walk through these things briefly. Remember that we are a capitalist nation state, and although we have some designs on democracy and have some other things that we wish to promote that we'll cover in the next slide, initially our capitalist goals are to promote the value and to protect the value of private property. Americans have culturally detested ideas of government ownership of property, of excessive government regulation. These are consonant with the values we associate with the political economy system known as capitalism. In modern times, and this has really been true since the mid-19th century, we are really interested in accessing and maintaining a global marketplace. An early historical example would be the so-called triangle trade between the United States, Europe, and the West Indies, where we would transship both slaves and sugar and rum in a sort of triangular pattern all across there. The idea is you want to maintain that marketplace. Just moving in for a quick or short period of time doesn't really help you to promote your long-term goals or help you to engage in pragmatic nation building. We obviously promote capitalist values, but we also promote capitalist appetites. The best way to get somebody going on something that you really want them to have access to is to stimulate an appetite for them. If you stop and think about it, there's an awful lot of things that we do in our society, an awful lot of things that we consume or use or practice or feel like we need to have in order to serve our social imperatives. Women buy makeup. Men are interested in fast cars. These are just some of the generalities. I'm tempted to call them stereotypes of how it is that we learn to use things and to spend money on things that we don't necessarily need, but which we're encouraged by our social environment to believe are important. This does not in any way diminish the obvious. We all need food, clothing, and shelter, but those are somewhat secondary when it comes to promoting long-term consonant values associated with appetites and the establishment of markets in order to serve those appetites. It also means almost automatically that we're going to dislike and attempt to displace or dislodge or to disrupt any non-capitalist or even perhaps non-democratic states and non-state actors. So in addition to opposing regimes that are overtly communist, like Russia used to be or like the People's Republic of China currently is, we'll also dog on cultures that have values that are more traditional and less modernistic than ours. There's a certain cultural resonance there in our attitude towards Islamic peoples or people that live in the developing world. And above all, and this is really what hegemony refers to, is we want to normalize American values. We'd love it if the rest of the world would do as we do, would act as we do, would consume the things that we do, would like the kinds of things that we like. We're convinced that our culture is truly transcendent, that what we've created here in the United States is unique and exceptional, and that therefore everybody should aspire to our model. Here's an easy way to think about this, and we'll develop each of these in turn in subsequent presentations. This is what I refer to as the hegemonic triangle. Critics of the American system might refer to it as an imperialist triangle or a colonialist triangle, but we'll be politically correct here and call it the hegemonic model. You notice at the top, and that's at the top on purpose, we're first and foremost interested in promoting the values associated with capitalism. In your handout on the essential functions of government, you'll note that promoting an economic system is one of those functions. And here in the United States, the model of political economy we've established is known as capitalism. Check there for the details and features of that. You all kind of know it intuitively anyway because you were born and will live your entire life in the United States as capitalists. Of somewhat parallel significance is this idea of democracy, and I should say in passing, because it's often confusing when you see this in news reports, we often use the terms democracy and capitalism sort of interchangeably. Obviously, democracy is something different. We're talking about a system of government that promotes the things that we associate with democracy. An open marketplace, but more importantly, a marketplace of ideas. We like the idea of having free, fair, periodic elections. We like having a Bill of Rights. We like having a system of laws, not men, etc. Again, refer to earlier handouts in our unit to get some idea of what we really mean by democracy. The third is a little bit touchy to talk about, but it is clearly there if you choose to go look at it, although it's fair to say that we don't promote Christian values in quite the manner that we've done in times past. If you look at the historical models associated with the late 19th and early 20th centuries, we see that American policymakers, American diplomats, would openly promote the values associated with Christianity. It was as though Christianity should be a vanguard for the presentation of capitalism and democracy, that in a sense you, as a heathen person, a non-Christian, have to be convinced of the virtue of Christianity and be willing to follow that pathway towards faith, at the exclusion, of course, of your own native faith, in order to further serve the interests of capitalism and democracy. Combined, all three of these are supposed to create a new set of American-inspired values, and it is our hope that through our efforts and through the acquiescence of other cultures that they eventually come around to our way of doing things.